Good evening, everybody, and welcome. And if you're watching this, you are a part of the human race. And welcome to the human race. It's been an interesting year for us, and we are under all kinds of influence. I like to remind people we're always under the influence. Always under the influence. Yes?
Love that. Love that.
Especially when it comes to looking at the influences of the powers that be, beyond what we can necessarily see or touch or taste, but we can definitely feel, and we can explore tendencies, and we can explore the influences of the universe upon us, and we can understand where we have to work. And so to have that very, very powerful discussion, I've invited my dear friend and guide and mentor and wisdom keeper, a renowned astrologer and teacher, who has helped me out of some really difficult conundrums in my life that I have turned to her, and she's been a go-to for me personally and for countless other people. And so tonight, I'm just so excited to introduce you, if you don't already know her work and her person, to Deborah Silverman. Hi, Deborah.
Thank you, Tommy. Hi, aloha.
Aloha. You are in Hawaii, is that true?
That's true.
Okay, amazing. Well, we have a big conversation tonight, Deborah, but as I like to do things in a Gemini, way, I really do want to play a track of music for everybody to hear, and with a video to go along with, so that we can all participate in a musical, joyful, interesting thing right now together. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on, and then we can jump into our conversation. Is that cool?
Great.
Okay, so I'm going to share the sound on my computer, and I'm going to set it up so that we can go right there, and hold a minute. Here we go. Okay, so you guys should be able to see this. Enjoy yourself for the next few minutes.
What is going on?
When the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, age of Aquarius. Harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abounding. No more falsehoods or derisions, golden and living dreams of visions, mystic crystal revelation, and the mind's true liberation. Aquarius. When moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, age of Aquarius, harmony and understanding, crystal revelation and the mind's true liberation. Aquarius,
Oh my goodness, you are so funny. You're so, I'm so glad you're entertaining yourself, but it seems like other people are entertained.
Listen, I am here to entertain myself. That's what we're all here for. And we must all be entertained. What a masterpiece that is. What a masterpiece. Such a powerful image. And how about that woman's voice? Extraordinary. So the age of Aquarius. Many people, after coming through this year, Deborah, would say, yeah, what happened to that idea? You know, the thing about peace will guide the planets and love will steer the stars.
Well, guess what? It's starting today.
Is that right?
Today. Do you know what's going on today?
I have ideas, but I want to hear all of your perspectives on it.
It's so funny you chose that. So you didn't know that today Jupiter and Saturn entered Aquarius for the first time?
I very much do know that.
Okay, perfect. So
Yes.
they're both at 0 degrees. It's very unusual that Saturn and Jupiter are together today, entering the solstice with the flavor of Aquarius. So I that's so funny. I just love this. Aquarius is the sign that, just as you said, has a very free spirit as compared to what we just left. So the last 2.5 years, there was 4 planets in Capricorn: Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and well, there was Mars earlier in the year. There was a lot of Capricorn for the last 2020 was a full-on strong glass of Capricorn energy, which is very constricted. And it did its job. It woke us up by breaking the structure of government as we know it. And look what happened. And today we're entering into this radical departure from the old structure, the old boys' school, the old sense of what we thought was the safety valve. And now we're entering a phase where we become the agents of change. So it's really a freedom. It's so perfect that you chose that, because you know what? Saturn was in Aquarius in 1963. So the last time this happened was in the 60s. In the 60s, there was a window of time where there were 6 planets in Aquarius. So that's when the drugs and the craziness and the breaking of the model and the disintegration of old systems happened, and then it went back to normal. And now here we are in 2021, and we are back to how will we break the system, but not leave behind the wisdom? Like, what do we have of the old system that we can carry forward? For example, AA is a great example, but it has to get updated. I know one of your promises is to bring fresh energy. This is Aquarius. How do we update? How do we bring fresh energy? How do we break what didn't work, but don't give away the deepest values we have of humanitarianism, of being able to be kind to each other? Where did that go? So we're being asked to bring back what the 60s was about. I love thinking about it. Like, let's go back to the 60s, but bring the wisdom of the here and now. So that's, and it's really, really strong energy because it lasts for sure. All of 2021 will be this Aquarius flavor. And I always say in the word Aquarius is us. Like if you break the word down. So it's the eccentric part of us who cannot follow, is sick of the old story, has no interest in pleasing the people that people give us rules. They have 0 interest in rules. Think 60s. And yet we still live in this here and now, this reality. So how do we merge a new, fresh air, an open belief and hope and faith? We mustn't lose our faith because of what happened in 2020. In fact, more than ever, the old-fashioned values of kindness, of compassion, of caring, of peace, we can't leave them behind. So that's the art right now. Go ahead.
Well, I love the art right now, and I love that vision. One of the things I've noticed, and I'd love to get your take on this, if you speak to people, so we're a divided country in many ways. we have never I have never seen that in such full color as I did in 2020. Political division, racial division, gender division, ideology division. Like, just pick a topic and people are vehemently opposed and divided on all of these different lines. So if you speak to people in one camp or you speak to people in the other camp, what I'm finding is they both have the same argument. And the argument is, I wanted something different. Oh, so if we're going to go to the political piece just for a minute, everybody excuse me, I know we're all fed up with it all. But if you voted for Trump or you're into Trump, people were like, I asked my friends, why'd you vote for Trump? There's a few people that I know who voted for Trump, and they said, we wanted something to disrupt. We wanted something different. We were sick of what we were getting. So we decided to go there. If I speak to people who voted for Biden, they're like, we were sick of what we were getting. We couldn't take it anymore. We needed a change. And a lot of people look at it as a going back to something, that Biden winning is a return to something that was, but I don't happen to see it that way. But it's a very strange thing when both sides of an argument have the same argument for their side.
It's a really good point. I think what we were looking at is Aquarius stands away from politics. Aquarius stands away from the differences, and it looks to find the humanity. So everyone wants change. We're all sick of the illusion of this reality, creating division. How could it be that we all are in the United States, for example, or we're in Great Britain, or we're in a country that's representing the desire to have democracy in Canada, and yet we polarize? So the age of Aquarius is, you know what, you guys, put away your politics. Step off that conversation of Capricorn. What would be a new conversation if we didn't know who we voted for, and we could have a conversation of humanness? And we broke it down. I once went and did a talk in Russia. I'll never forget this. I spoke to a group of psychiatrists, and I started off they invited me in with the translator. And I started off by saying, you all think I'm an American woman, and I'm standing here so different than you, but all of my grandparents were born in Russia. So I want you to change your image of me being an American and realize I'm you. And I'm going to talk about all the human nature illnesses of broken hearts and children not being well, and how do we deal with this, and all the humanness takes us away from that overview label to what is the raw goods. And what do we do when we're addicted? We seek out comfort because we're in pain. That's universal. Who cares what your politics are? If you have an addiction problem or you find yourself longing and broken, it's because you're human. So why can't we strip ourselves? This is the end of the Capricorn age. Put down politics. Take our hands and hold them. That's why I love AA. I always wished I was alcoholic or something, because I love being in those rooms where people say, my heart's broken, but I reached out for a higher power and I feel better. Okay, I'm with you. I want to be like you. I want to reach up for a higher power and meditate and pray and get out of this human dilemma of the differences and find our universal voice. So Aquarius is like, screw the politics. Aquarius couldn't care less who you voted for. That's what I love about them. They're just so completely outside of this human dilemma in the classical sense of Capricorn, where we just left. I'm right, you're wrong. This is my politics, that's yours. What about a universal voice that says, you know what, we're all a little scared, we're all vulnerable, we're all lonely, we're all excited, we're all depressed. There's so much universal humanness, especially when you get to addiction. Why can't we just get on our knees together and say, can I have your hand? I really feel you.
I think I might have mentioned to you that there was a time I read this interesting book. I just keyed through it to my birthday, May 31st. It's called The Birthday Book. You've probably seen it. It's a
love that book.
Big blue book, and it breaks down astrology or science, not just by their sign, but by the actual day you were born in. And so on May 31st, my day, it says, they call it the day of the cutting edge. And as I read down the day of the cutting edge, it says, people born on this day are given to escape and escapism. And if they're not able to bring the extremes of their personality into balance, they will always suffer. Now, it said this, I was reading this book like in the first year of my recovery. And I was literally looking over my shoulder like, is somebody filming me right now? Like, did somebody write this and somehow put it in front of me? Because this is just hitting a little too close to home. So what I wanted to ask you is, obviously people who struggle with addiction are born on any given day of the year, but is there some kind of lesson or astrology of addiction that we can sort of glean from maybe even what's going on now and what we see coming in 2021?
So let's go back to the universal. You would know this better than me. What's at the core of addiction? My suspicion is we suffer, we're in pain, and we want to escape, to use your word. It hurts.
Yes, I think that's very good. So for some reason, and we don't have to go into the specific reasons, there's a sense of disconnection. There's a sense of pain. It comes with things like loneliness and a sense of lack, and I'm not good enough, and I don't know where I fit in or how to belong here, all those kinds of things.
Good. So that's a universal human condition dilemma. In astrology, it does show up in different personality types. Like I can tell you there's certain personality types who are more addictive than others. And what is it in astrology? In my book that I wrote, The Missing Element, which I loved your response to, the water person, which you have a grand trine in water, the water personalities who are highly sensitive feel more of those things you just described, loneliness, being separate, negative internal, more than other signs. So when you go into the flavor of addiction, you will see people who are prone to reclusion, wanting to be alone, wanting to be quiet. This is water. Highly sensitive. They cry easily. They find themselves more tender for no apparent reason. And they draw them then to substances to help subdue. Is it a cigarette? Is it a drink? Is it a joint? What can I do to diminish the sensitivity? So that's the first doorway in astrology that we look for addiction issues is Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer, 12th house, 8th house, 4th house. I can look at a chart, at a kid's chart and say, uh-oh, this kid's prone. You got to cuddle them. The medicine in astrology for the addict is physical touch. Ding, 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 ding. So what is it when you go into that 12-step room or when you admit you're addicted and you start to come onto your humanness and say it out loud and you're not embarrassed, it feels so good to know you're not alone. That's the water element. So that's the first element in astrology that would describe addiction.
The medicine in astrology for the addict is touch.
Want to write that down?
Everybody tweet that. Deborah Silverman, tweet it. Just get that out there because that is, boy, is that on the money. Okay.
Oh my God. Look, we're getting a lot of votes for yes.
Continue.
Okay. So touch would be the element of water and the flavor of Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. The other addicts now we're going to go the opposite spectrum. It's the fire personalities. And these are the characters who drink too much and they eat too much and they're too loud and they party too hard and they have the entertainment factor and they have, don't tell anyone which one mine is. And they're loud and they're boisterous and they're physical and they're athletic and they play tennis and they jump off mountains and they can't say no. They just keep saying yes. So if the party's going on and the music's turned up and they're playing guitar, they're the musicians, they turn the music up a little louder, have another drink, so they don't have an off button. Fire runs hot or hot. There's no lukewarm fire. So those personality types, their medicine is to be able to stand up and say out loud, I'm going to help. This is why the 12-step program is so brilliant. The fire personality stands in front of the room, tells their story, fire people can only do, and says, in the name of fellowship, I'm going to help you. And suddenly all that passion is now directed in the name of helping another. As soon as you get a fire person, I know Larry's sitting here just aiming it because he's so fire. As soon as a fire person is a sponsor or they're support, they have function to use that amount of energy, it doesn't turn in on themselves. I want a good tweet for this and I can't find one. So the medicine for fire people is the generosity of their heart in service to the other and not to their ego.
Yes.
Because when the ego gets going and they're doing their drama and they're jumping up, they're loud, it's all ego food.
And so someone's just saying, are you talking about sun signs? And the answer is yes, we're talking about sun signs.
And
So
it's
what are the
not
fire sun signs?
we're not, it's Aries, Leo, Sag, but this is why my book is so important. You could end up being a fire personality type and not be an Aries, Leo, or Sag. So the reason why the book is so important is you read which element is you, but if you're fire, you'll know it, whether you're Aries, Leo, Sag or not, because you just always want a little bit more.
Yes. Well, I just want to give a plug of this book. This book has been out a while, you guys. It's a gem. It's called The Missing Element. And there's a line in there that is etched upon my brain, and I'll give it to you now. It's important that the story be told, but not that it be cemented into reality and worn as a badge of courage.
I got the willies. How did he memorize that?
It's important that the story be told, but not that it be worn as a badge of courage and cemented into reality. And that is so important. I just had to bring it up. I think it's relevant, but it's just simply, at some point, we're going to have to transcend our story.
Bingo. Now, the fire person, why they love going back to the 12-step gathering is because they love to tell the story again. There is a repetitive nature to them going on and on about that, because they're usually juicy stories. So I really love that, Tommy. The fire personality's medicine is they become the healer by taking their attention off their ego and going into service.
Well, there's no question that there's elements of that for me as well. Let's see, even though I'm a water person, I'm look at me.
I think you have moon in Leo. Isn't your moon in Leo? What's do you remember?
Pisces, I believe.
Oh, that's
more
right.
Water.
You definitely have some Leo in there, Mr. Shiny Face. I love watching you on screen. I love watching you anytime. Okay, so there's fire and water. Those are the two major influences of addiction that shows up in astrology. Then we get to air. Somebody asked, tell me about Libra. So we have Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. These people lie to themselves. Here's where addiction becomes part of the air personality. They make up stories and they tell everybody a story and they change the conversation to make the story juicier, and they talk a lot because they love the sound of their voice, and it becomes very distracting because you know what happens when you talk a lot and tell a lot of stories and get distracted and change the storyline? You become inauthentic. And what is addiction but losing touch with yourself?
Absolutely.
You leave yourself out entirely.
Inauthenticity is, well, let's just say retrieving authenticity equals recovery.
Bingo. Oh, that's a good tweet. Write that down.
Yeah, guys, please tweet that out immediately. But it's true. It's true. The retrieving of an authentic voice. And also, this is a really important, maybe one of the most important things that we hear in the 12-step universe, is a very famous line written in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And it says, lack of power, that we think is our dilemma. Lack of power. And so when we talk about reaching for a higher power, really what we're trying to do is to access more power. It doesn't even have to be about God or spirit. You and me working together on a problem are probably more effective than either one of us alone. We've already tapped into a higher power right here. But the point is as you retrieve authenticity, that's moving into power, self-empowerment. As you're disconnected from self and disempowered, of course you're powerless. Does it make sense?
Yes. So let me describe that in air terms and personality terms. It's a personality type that's full of shit. They talk. They're both Gemini, so this is a little scary, but I'm just going to call us out. They talk and they know everything. And when you're not looking, they're going and grabbing their drink behind the closed doors because they're full of shit. They're going to get their drugs or their medicine that they think is medicine because they're too embarrassed to tell anyone. So the air personality at worst is inauthentic because they're faking it. They're presenting an image to the world. They're dressed up. They got the cute little outfits, the air people. They're socializing. They got people everywhere, but they're not authentically experiencing their emotional body and saying out loud, I have a secret. I'm scared. I'm embarrassed. I don't really know who I am. I'm faking it. Don't believe me. But they're so full of shit. I had to get called out years ago when someone said to me, Deborah, you're so full of shit. And I realized I was. It was an elder. And she asked me how I was, and I was really suffering at the time. And I said, fine. And she looked at me and she goes, you are so full of shit. And that's when I realized, oh my God, I'm such an air sign. I'm lying to myself. So then when no one's around, I'm going to go seek my medicine, my fake, stupid addiction. I'm just making an example because I can't deal with the truth that I'm lying to myself. So the issue with air personality types, why they go towards addiction, is their inauthenticity creates a fake image of themselves, and it makes them feel so hollow. Think of how birds are so thin and so light and there's no substance. And then they feel like they're not real, and then they can't do relationship, and then they bump into loneliness. So they pretend they're social, and they've got all these networks, and they've got all these Facebook people, and they've got friends, but the real truth is, who really knows them, and are they suffering?
Lonely in a crowd.
Bingo, that's air.
Yes.
And that lends itself to secret addictions. I think half of addiction is a secret keeper.
Oh,
They don't want to tell anyone.
It comes up so many. I mean, you're so right on it, and many people in the 12-step land, they're saying, oh God, she's so on it right now, because we say things like, you're only as sick as your secrets.
Bingo.
Secrets will kill you, and that whole idea is part of the surrender into truthfulness is to appropriately and in the right circumstance and to the right people to be able to tell the truth about actually what has happened.
Exactly.
And
So
that's when that turns.
That's when it turns. So someone saying, they want the tweet for error. And I'm going to say it's the ability to say out loud, like, this is my version. I admit that I'm codependent, which I know is at the core of all of addiction. That when I could actually say out loud, this is what air people don't do. I'm codependent. I'm scared. I need you. Help me. They don't say any of that. They pretend that they're just la, la, la. It's like, those airhead people. You can like push them over because they don't say. So if an air person, the medicine for air is, can you just say out loud, which I do to my team. I always say to them, you guys, I'm codependent. If you don't sit next to me, I will do nothing. I'll just read the computer and go inside a cyberspace. Airhead. Cyberspace takes me away for days. I don't even know where I am. Airhead. So the medicine is tell the truth. One couple sentences of truth. I'm scared. I'm lonely. I need help. I'm full of shit. As soon as you say that disarmament becomes the doorway to health and healing for all air signs.
A couple sentences of truth is the medicine for the air sign.
Oh, babe, write it down. You guys, write it down. A couple sentences of truth is the medicine for the air sign. And it has to be really raw. Like, I mean, it sounds funny to admit I'm codependent, but I use that sentence and then people look at me, I go, this isn't funny. My codependency is because I'm scared of being alone. Now that's changed because I've really done my work on myself. And I've discovered that I love being alone. But for most air signs, water signs can't wait to be alone. So they could be in their little room and drink when no one's looking. Air signs spend all their time socializing full of shit, pretending they're not lonely when they are. And the fire person's making music and going, la, 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 I'll have another one. And then they end up bumping and having a car accident. It made him laugh. Okay, look, so Justin, I love you, Justin. Let me just say, I'm an air sign and I'm totally full of shit. Thank you, Justin, for that honest truth.
Yes.
The bottom is when you realize you have to tell the truth, Stephanie, and that's what happens. Okay, the last element is, thank you, Terry Flowers. Terry Flowers, you're a Virgo and your last name is Flowers and you're an earth sign. That's ridiculous. Okay, so the earth people are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. But I'm going to say it again, guys, go get my book. Just because you're a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, this may not be true for you. So here we go. These people, this is part of your wife, all they think about is food, organizing, making sure everything is taken care of. They're workaholics. They're cleaning the food. They're making their list. And they're so preoccupied with getting shit done that they become miserable when you're not looking because they're workaholics and you're supposed to do the dishes and you're supposed to help, but they don't say it. And eventually they get grumpy enough that they become addicted when you're not looking. They spend too much, they gamble, you can't tell by looking, but the earth person's so preoccupied with accomplishments and achievements and getting it right that they live with this internal dialogue. Ready? I'm never doing enough. I'm not good enough. I should have done this. I probably should have done that. And by the way, you should be doing this and you shouldn't eat that. And give me the labels at Whole Foods. And no. We're not eating that this week. You're like, oh my God. Can you be a little less obsessive about what we should be doing? And how about, so they get so obsessed with should, productivity, numbers, money, security, that it makes them neurotic. And that drives people to drink.
Absolutely. Earth sign is there's a certain neurosis that goes along with it.
Yes, they want control. They want control over their reality. And in doing so, they become the fixers. And that energy of being so neurotic, as you say, takes away the breath, takes away the pleasure. And before you know it, even if they're not addicted, they think they shouldn't be having that. And they shouldn't be eating that wheat and they shouldn't have that sugar. It's like, oh my God, you may not be an addict, but you look miserable.
So, I mean, I just want to just say about myself, I'm somewhat embarrassed to admit that I'm all four of these things. I guess there's just no hope for someone like me, you know. But truthfully, that statement I made earlier, which was in the book that I read and came across accidentally, if this person does not bring the extremes into balance, they will suffer. That could obviously be said for anybody.
100%.
And so what we're talking about is a movement to the center, a movement out of polarity, and a movement away from the extreme. Constantly.
And yes, and it's funny you say that because Earth people are extreme. So the medicine is the answer for medicine for Earth is I am enough. I'm doing a really good job. If you could give yourself this positive mantra, I get things done. And I feel very good about that. Now, that would be a lie for Earth people to say out loud because they never think they're doing a good enough job. They never think their body's got the right weight. They never think they're eating the right foods, and they haven't found enough organic food yet. So you've got to give. Why does it make him laugh? So you need permission to say to them, honey, you've got enough. You're really healthy. You're doing great. So the medicine for Earth is I am worthy. I am doing a great job. I feel really good. Just lie to start. I always tell Earth people, lie. Just lie to yourself because you're not going to believe it at first. Like, I'm not doing that good a job. Yes, you are. I'm so impressed with you. You've kept the house so clean. We've cleaned the vegetables 3 times. You've cut them in the perfect size. You've taken care of all the Costco list. You got the Windex in the back room. You're doing great.
So I love the mantra, everything's okay.
Yeah.
So Deborah, is everything okay?
So now you are so funny. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning of the age of Aquarius by today. It's starting today. All that I just described, that's so funny. Why are you making me laugh? Are we okay? Everything I described is where the human nature element hits the ground difficult with the bump. Like 2020 should have triggered every one of those issues. Your water self feels bad because you want to stay home and you're loving COVID and you never want to go out of the house. And you were so glad that they told us we had to go into quarantine. Water people were like, whoa, you mean I don't have to go to the party? Guilt-free pajamas? I love this game.
Now that is my wife.
Because she's Scorpio. That's right.
Yeah.
Like, okay, permission not to socialize. Look at everybody writing. Okay, so that was the high road of the water. The air people are like, oh my God, we can go on Zoom. We can bring communities together with a push of a button. I love this game. I've got a whole network going on right here in my Instagram. On my, it's like you won't believe what we can do with amounts of people we can talk. This is me and Tommy. My community has blown up. If any of you want to study this stuff, I have a school starting in January where like the air people want to eat this stuff, read about it, study it, learn about it. So COVID served them because boy, were you allowed to go get a book during this last window. The earth people, are they okay? Listen, they hold down the fort. There's a lot of you in this room who are steady eddies. You may not think you're okay. You may not think the planet's okay, but guess what? The earth will survive long past our presence on it. I spent yesterday in the middle of the mountains in Hawaii, and I looked around and I started to cry and I said, please forgive us. We forget your perfection. Forget how perfectly designed you are, because our mental bodies judge the earth, and the earth person judges all day. So the medicine, yes, we're okay, earth person. And then of course the fire person, are they okay? As long as there's music on and there's somebody to play tennis with and they get to have fun to play, we're good to go. The fire people have fun no matter what, because they're just goofy.
It's just awesome. It's just awesome.
Yes.
So in terms of today's the winter solstice. As you spoke about, there is this theme of Aquarius coming. You said coming into this next year that's a big part of what's going on. That energy coming into Aquarius and how different it is from Capricorn.
See, yes. So is there a question? Because I don't want to jump into it.
Please, can you expand upon that for what you see coming?
So think about how the government just broke. Like our concept of a dependable government, whatever your politics are, whether you believe Trump was good or bad, I don't care, because I'm Aquarius now. I'm pretending I'm Aquarius. Whatever your politics, I don't care. The constructs of our government as a dependable entity has dissolved in front of our eyes. We do not feel safe as far as that's concerned. However, the freedom of the individual to be their own governor, this is the Aquarian age. Larry was asking, when does it happen? Every 2,100 years, the era changes. We have entered the Aquarian age somewhere in the last 50, I'm going to say since 1963, when Saturn went, when we had 6 planets in Aquarius that year, the Aquarian age began. It's a long entrance. It's a long ramp, because it's not a day like, oh, today is the solstice, so we've entered the Aquarian age. No, it's the beginning of the feeling that our family, your grandparents and my grandparents, that whole structure that was so dependable about outside authority, bye-bye now. We do not count on outside authority anymore. Even doctors we feel scared about. We go to alternate doctors. We are no longer giving our power away to the old version of authority. That was the last age of Pisces we followed. Now we are free. Now this is dangerous, but it's so exciting to me. Freedom, what does it mean? It means you begin to study your own individual nature and you find out what works for you, and you create a language that's unique. This is why I love astrology. How do I be Deborah Silverman? How does Tommy do Tommy? Well, he knows that he's a communicator. He came and got his chart done. He knows he's got a grand trine in water. He's a healer. He knows he has a passion to help people. I mean, Tommy, I watch you. You are incessant. You are nonstop. Who can you help next? That single ingredient is Aquarius. If everyone had that flavor of what can I do to help my neighbor? Who can I give my smile to? How can I change the frequency? It can be at home, little water person in your house. It can be outside in the middle of your mountains singing songs of joy. We just have to change the frequency. And that's the Aquarian age. We are no longer bound to what we thought was authoritative structures that made this reality safe. We have to provide the safety. So I'll ask all of you, are you safe inside yourself? Do you know the governor inside you? Can you count on your governor to say, no, I'm not having a drink? No, I'm not picking up that cigarette. No, I'm not. Like, do you have that part of you in your hands? Because if not, your government is challenged and the government outside is challenged. So it's up to me to take on the response. Each one can say this. I am the governor. I am the government. I am the leader, and I'm really weird. I'm an Aquarian. I don't give a shit what my mom and grandma did. I'm making it up now. I am a Jewish girl that's been disowned by her Jewish family. Not really, but they're looking at I feel my grandparents and my lineage and my ancestors looking at me going, she lives in Hawaii. My whole family came from Russia. They were freezing. I have broken that model. I have broken that mold. And I'm asking all of you to ask yourselves, are you free enough to give yourself the option to rewrite your present day experience on your terms, because you're your own governor? Good question.
It's wonderful. Self-government is the government of the future.
Write it down.
Yeah. Please tweet it, guys. Another tweet for today. Get it down there.
Self-government, the government of the future. That's the revolution we're looking for.
That is. And so that requires a certain amount of work.
That requires responsibility. I am responsible. Every thought I have to catch them. I have this practice of my observer, and I listen. I go, Deborah, you are really having that thought again? Are you really having that thought again? Governor, back over here. Come here, sit down. And then I talk to myself. I go, you are not talking to me like that. Oh, sorry. And suddenly I have control over my little council.
I love your council. I love the council. It's great. So
I have the funniest council. They're just all in line now because they love me and I love them. There's no more mean governor inside of me. I'm not harsh to myself. I don't have to judge myself. I'm not pushing myself. I walk slowly. I think the best thing I got from COVID was taking deep breaths. The single thing I learned in this last year was to take deep breaths. Let's do it.
it's my favorite thing to do.
Consciously choose to take a deep breath.
Mm.
That was a big gift I got from you, COVID.
So I wanted to ask you about some of the specific fears that certain people are having right now. If you don't mind, if we can go there.
Yes, and I have 5 minutes left because I have to be somewhere. Just letting you know. I do. Just letting you know.
That's good. We're going to go another hour and 5 minutes. We'll have to push your appointment back. We're not done yet.
I slow everything down.
Well, this could open up a big sort of conversation, which we can have another time. But
Because I love you.
I love you too. I love you too. I'm going to give you a fear on each side of the coin. And each side of the coin are different perspectives. Here's a fear. There are people who fear their guns being taken away. And the reason they fear that is because they feel, I'm guessing, that if their guns are taken away, somebody will come with guns and they will no longer be able to defend themselves or have control or the illusion of control. That's a fear. Some people have that fear. It doesn't matter what you think about that. It's just, that's a fear that some people happen to have.
That's real.
Okay. Here's another fear. I'm frightened. I have a lack of trust in our systems, in our agencies. I don't trust big pharma or corporations, and I fear taking this vaccine. It doesn't matter what you think about vaccines. It's just some people happen to have that fear. Other people have the opposite fear on that one, which is I fear those people who have decided not to have a vaccine. So with all these fears running around, doesn't matter what your position is because we're not getting into that discussion.
That's right.
But what does the astrology of moving into Aquarius say about these fears, which in a way keep us very divided?
That is so perfect to close on this. Ready?
Yeah.
Aquarius cannot follow. It's an air sign that sneaks out of the box. You cannot put air in a box. Everything sneaks away, said the air sign. So there's the guy that wants the gun and the guy that doesn't want the gun. There's the guy that wants the vaccine and there's the guy that doesn't want the vaccine. And in the land of Aquarius, you know what we say? It's all okay as long as we can conflict with kindness. And we listen to each other. Here's my last message, and then I'd love to do this again. The art of listening is the missing ingredient that the Aquarian age is going to ask of us, not to agree. That was the Capricorn. You had to have a ritual and a structure and a government and laws. Now we're saying, I want to hear, why don't you believe in the vaccine? And why do you believe in it? Now, when that begins, that we can actually hear each other and permission to be uniquely yourself, we will be united in the Aquarian age. Peace will guide the stars, love will, and we will be in a whole different universe. But until the words listen and silent have the same letter. If you want to listen, you have to stop your thoughts, hear the other person as though you really were interested, and not have your thoughts in your head. And this is the hardest thing to do. So I'm going to leave you with so hard. Yes, we don't have to agree that we do need to listen, said Lori Crockett. And that's the Aquarian age. We are allowed to be weird and different. Every diverse color, size, and shape honors the other.
Thank you so much, Deborah Silverman. What I would say there is we have to rediscover or recover the lost art of listening.
Bingo.
And that goes a long way towards this age that we all want to be a part of. Actually, we all want to be a part of it.
don't you think it's funny on the day that Jupiter and Saturn came together, so did you and I. Like literally, it's the day they are both at 0 degrees today.
Yes. On the winter solstice.
Coincidentally.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much. I'm going to let people know about your offerings.
Yes. Yes.
And so they will. And we'll continue our conversation. I'm drawing you into what we're doing.
I know. And you know what, you guys, if you order my book today, I will put your chart, because some of you don't know astrology at all. I will actually execute a chart for you, stick it in the book, sign it, and send you your chart. Because how many of you don't have your chart?
Where do they get the book?
Order it from my web. You can get it on Amazon, but if you order it, Stacy's putting it up there. If you order it on this spot from her link, that's when the chart will be in it. But if you order it from Amazon, yeah, it's super easy.
Beautiful. Thank you for spreading our work as well.
I love your wife. I'm so, I can't even tell. When I saw I was like, what? Where have you been? So we're going to do something together. I'd love to celebrate your community. I invited all of my community today here. I'd love to know how many of you are here from the Deborah Silverman.
We've got over 300, probably 400 people.
I love that story.
Yeah.
Level 2, Connie is here. Hi, Connie. Chris is here. These are people that were listening earlier. And I said, don't forget to come here, Tommy, because this conversation about addiction is probably the single most misunderstood. And that's why your work is so important. I will do anything to keep you in our community.
Thank you, Deborah. Well, we'll talk, and I love you just so much. And aloha. And we see you, brother.
Hey, Guy. Thank you, Tommy.
Much love to you. Much love, and we'll connect again soon. Deborah, stay here for a moment. I'm going to mute you. Stay for
Nobody mutes me.
1 minute. Everybody, bring your palms together at the heart center, and let's close with the Recovery 2.0 prayer. It's a prayer applicable to everybody, anywhere, anytime. You can just repeat after me if you don't know it. Inhale to begin. Great universe, great spirit, higher power, God. Put us in the places you want us to be, with the people you want us to be with, doing the things you want us to do. Thank you for the joys and the challenges of our lives. Amen and Satnam.
That was so beautiful. That was so beautiful. Can I share that with my audience?
Yeah, we'll get it out there.
I mean, I'd like to get that because this is so important.
Yeah. Well, we're going to continue. This is the first of many, but we will definitely get this to you, and on we go into our winter solstice night.
I love you so much. I love your wife. You tell them I love everybody. I'm so in love.
I will. Love to everybody.